Welcome to the Under Construction Podcast with me, Martin Williams. Here we talk about how to build or rebuild your life one step at a time. Welcome to the Under Construction Podcast. My name is Martin Williams. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. You may do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud. All the links to the podcast can be found at guidedexpressions.com/podcast with an S. Today, I wanted to talk to you about creating a blueprint for your life and my new course that is coming out at the end of April. So I have been working on this course for the better part of 2 years. And it's something that I've been, very excited about, very passionate about because I live my life this way. And I wanted to share it with the world because it really helped me come up higher in my life from where I was. And, I was struggling for a long time. I was struggling financially. I was struggling in my career. I was struggling in my relationships. I was struggling in my health. And I just really had a hard time from day to day. I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with what I was doing. I wasn't happy with my life by any stretch of the imagination. And I needed a change. I have always listened to personal development material. I've always been into it, whether it was Brian Tracy or Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, I would always listen to that stuff. And it kept me going, especially through those dark seasons because it gave me hope. And I knew that there was a better life ahead for me, but I just didn't know how to realize it, right? And I got to the point where, I just decided, hey, I'm not getting any younger and I need a change. I need to make a change in my life. And I started listening to Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. It's one of the classic books. I would say next to the Bible, honestly. As far as personal development goes, I think Think and Grow Rich is probably the book to read. And so, I read that book and I listened to the audio book, and what began emerging for me was a blueprint for life. And I realized that I needed a blueprint. I needed something that I could refer to when, I found myself slipping or I found myself not really staying on track, but also something that I could help other people with and help them get their lives back on track too. More or less taking the guesswork out of life. Because trial and error can be very time consuming. It can be expensive. It can be energy consuming. And you get to a point where you just get tired of making mistake after mistake and especially making the same mistakes over and over again. So what is the blueprint? Okay, so I divided the blueprint into 4 major areas. And you may have heard these before. You may have heard them in different connotations or different orders or what have you. But this is something that I discovered. And, the blueprint is something that it's not new. I believe most people live their lives this way, even though they don't always realize it, even though they may not have delineated the steps the way I have. But I think that the blueprint is something that works. And I don't just think it works, I work it on a consistent basis. So what are the 4 parts? The 4 parts are mindset, vision, plan, and execute, right? And these 4 steps, if you do them, will allow you to have virtually anything you want in this world as long as it is possible. If it is possible, the blueprint can help you get it. That is a very large promise. And I wouldn't even say it's a promise, it's a premise, because it's determinant upon whether you do certain things. But I have found that when I employ all 4 of these steps, Things that I never thought were possible became possible and then became reality because I followed these 4 steps. So the first step is mindset. So mindset is basically remolding or reshaping your mind to fit the future that you want. Okay? Let's say you want to lose weight. Let's say you want to get out of debt. Let's say you want a job, right? But not just any job. You want your dream job. Let's say you want a new relationship, but not just any relationship. You want a relationship with someone who is loving and kind and, you know, you want your dream partner, your soulmate, right? You want a new car or you want to take a trip or what have you, right? So mindset is about reshaping your mind, right? Remolding your mind to fit where it is you want to go. Because as long as you're thinking of a trip or a car or a new job as something that you really, really want, but you don't have it, right? It can delay the manifestation. It can delay the actual realization of that particular goal, whatever that goal is. So you might say, well, it doesn't really make sense because if I don't have it, why would I say I do have it? It goes a lot deeper than that. Because when you remold your mind, when you reshape your mind as having that thing, you're no longer wishing for it from a mental state, okay? Anything that we realize in our lives, we first held in our mind, okay? The clothes that you're wearing right now, the jewelry, maybe you're wearing a watch, the house that you're living in right now, the job that you have right now, the relationship you have or maybe don't have right now, they were all figments of your mind and your imagination before they actually became fact, right? Whether you dreamed about it or maybe it just popped up out of nowhere, but you accepted it in your mind, however you want to describe it, it came into your mind before you had it in your hand. So if we know that everything works this way, then why don't you use it on purpose for the things that you really want? Now, I'm going to get into visualization in a moment, but what I'm saying here is stop talking about something as if it might happen or could happen or something like that. Start talking about it as if it's already happened. Start readjusting your mind to a place of having versus a place of wishing. So if you want to have the ideal weight, right? Start seeing yourself as that weight right now, but readjusting your mind to saying, okay, this is what I weigh now, so I'm going to adjust my behavior to fit that weight, right? And, you start changing your eating habits. Maybe you're not going to eat as much as you used to because, hey, I'm at this lower weight now, and so I'm going to eat as if I'm at that lower weight. And, obviously these are things that you got to run by your doctor, right? But what I'm saying is, maybe you want to have a new car, and it's like, okay, well, how can I readjust my mind to having a new car when it's not sitting in the driveway? It's sitting in the driveway is the end stage of it. Okay. But the beginning stage is to adjust your mind as if that car is sitting in your driveway. Right. So what I would do is that I would go online and I would look at accessories for that car. Right. So let's say you want to own a Lamborghini. Okay. I would go online and I would look at Lamborghini keychains, right? Or Lamborghini floor mats, or maybe like a Lamborghini club on Facebook and I join it, right? And, you start acting like a Lamborghini owner. You remold your mind and then remold your behavior to fit where you're going. And when you do that, something amazing starts to happen. You start seeing things that you never saw before. You start seeing opportunities that you never saw before. You start acting different. and you stop wishing and you start walking in a place of confidence. And if you hold that long enough, you start attracting the resources to make it happen. And that's what mindset is in relation to the blueprint. So the second step is visualization. Now, visualization runs kind of alongside mindset, because once you remold your mind, then you start seeing things that you are wanting to bring into your life. And visualization is something that's been done for over hundreds, and if not thousands of years, right? Even back to the Bible, God told Abraham to look upon the sands of the beach, the sands of, the coastline, and that everything, the sands of I'm sorry, I'm like really bumbling this. I'm so excited, right? The sands of the beach is what your children are going to be, because, Abraham wanted a child, and he ended up becoming a father of nations, right? Father of the major 3 religions in the world, all point back to Abraham, right? But he had to visualize. And in another place, God said to Abraham, all the land you see, I will give it to you. And that's really a rule of life. If you can see it, you can have it, right? If you can see that car in your driveway, you can have it. If you can see that new relationship, then you can have it. If you can see that, A on the exam, then you can have it. And it doesn't matter how hard it's been. It doesn't matter how impossible people have told you it is. It doesn't matter how much it costs. None of that matters, because you're dealing with a law that is universal. You're dealing with a law that is higher than natural law. You're dealing with a law that supersedes time zones, supersedes government authorities, supersedes the money in your bank account, supersedes your credit score, supersedes anything that you've ever done up to this point. That's how important visualization is. But if you don't do it, then it doesn't matter, right? But if you do it, and it's a part of this 4-step process, if you visualize your end goal as if it's already true, and you continue to hold that vision, you will eventually realize it. And it works time and again. And it's worked for me. I've gotten jobs. I've gotten apartments. I've gotten into, all kinds of various situations, not always positive, sometimes negative, because I didn't understand the power of it. But it works. And it'll work for you if you do it. So the third step is plan. Now, this might seem a little counterintuitive, because remember, the first step is we're acting as if it already has happened, right? So why do I have to make a plan if it's already happened? Well, because we live on the earth, right? Everything that we've done up to this point, we've done in our minds, okay? But just because you visualize it in your mind doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to happen in your life. There are a lot of people who visualize, but they never do anything, because you have to make a plan. Now, the plan is all about organizing your activity, right? A plan organizes your activity and your energy in the direction that you want to go. Okay? Because you have to do something now. You've visualized, you've reframed your mindset. Now it's time to take action. You're losing, you want to lose weight, but now you got to go to the gym. Now you got to start eating better, right? So the plan is basically to organize your energy and activity in the direction that you want to move. Okay? So now we need a timeline. Now we need an eating plan. Now we need a budget, right? Now we need a timeline. So we give our subconscious mind a date that we want this thing to happen, right? I want to have this car in 2 months. I don't want to wait 2 years for a car, right? I want to lose this weight by the end of the year. I want to, find my soulmate in a relatively short period of time. I want to have this job within a month, right? Because I got bills, right? So you're giving dimensions to your dream. If you look at an actual blueprint in which, things are being built, right? You would see that, there are measurements, there are, certain structures and certain boundaries to everything. The couch, not the couch, the toilet, in the bathroom goes here, right? The living room is here. The kitchen's here. The upstairs bedroom is here. Second bedroom's here. Basement's here. Everything's laid out on the blueprint. And that's what the plan is, right? This is how I want it. I want this car. This is the type of car I want. And then you just define everything that you want. Now when you talk about a plan, you're not talking about the how, okay? You're talking about the what. This is what I want, okay? I want this year car, this type of engine, right? I want this type of relationship, right? I'm not talking about the person, but I'm talking about this relationship where I'm respected and I'm cared for and I'm loved, for what I am or who I am and not what I have, right? I want a job where I'm respected and paid what I'm worth. And, you just list everything out. So to always remember that when you're making out your plan, it's not what, it's how, right? It's not how, it's what, excuse me. Whenever you're making your plan out, it's what, not how. Very, very important that you remember that, because what will happen is that your mind will become locked in to that particular thing, right? That's what I want. I want to do that. I want to have it by this date, and that's it, okay? The final piece is execution, right? So plans are worthless until you do something. If you don't do anything, then the plan is really not, it's pointless, like I said. So there's something you got to do, right? So, you want to buy a car, then you got to go down to the dealership and test drive it. And then they're going to run your credit, right? And, they may say, well, your credit's not really where it needs to be to get this car. And so you may have to go back and say, okay, they say, well, I got to bring my credit up 50 points, right? So you may have to pay something off or what have you. You may have to pay down your credit cards, right? So there's always an execution part. And sometimes you don't know exactly what you need to do until you know what you need to do. But when you know what you need to do, then you have to actually do it, right? Like I said, if you want to lose weight, then, you got to go to the gym. You got to actually go through the workouts, right? You got to start augmenting your eating and, other things that your doctor might tell you to do. If you want to get your business off the ground, then you got to start talking to people. You got to create a product that people can buy. And then you got to start, improving that product and doing the things that you have to do to make it better. So there's always the execution part at the end of the day. And so many people will visualize and they'll do the mindset work and they'll do the planning and all that other stuff. And then they get to the execution part and then they freeze up. Usually people freeze up because they're afraid. It's fear. Fear is the one thing that stops execution more than anything else. And the best thing that I can tell you about fear is you may be able to get rid of the fear. You may not, but you may have to do it scared. You may have to do it afraid, right? What I tell myself whenever I hit a mental block of fear is that I fear God only. I don't fear anything else, right? And when I keep telling myself that, I find the courage to do whatever it is that I need to do at that particular time. So just remember those 4 steps: mindset, vision, plan, execute. If you want to know more, you can pre-order my Blueprint course is coming really soon. I'm going to drop the pre-order link in the description box if you're listening to this on YouTube. And you can also go to my Facebook page, and the links are wherever you're listening to this podcast. And you can find the pre-order link there if you want to know more. So hopefully you got something out of that. My name is Martin Williams. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I'll talk to you soon. Don't forget to subscribe to the Under Construction Podcast on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and SoundCloud. For more information on Guided Expressions courses and products, go to guidedexpressions.com/products.